everyone. Sandy, you can lead the show.
Good evening and welcome to the 8th Annual LAPAC Election Forum. Thank you to all who came out to hear our candidates, and a special thank you for the gentlemen up in front who have chosen to give their own personal time to run in this year's election. We understand that this is a huge time commitment, and we thank you and your families for the sacrifices and the dedication on your betterment for our borough. We remind each candidate to be mindful of the time limits and that this is not a debate. Candidates, you should have a copy of the format showing the time limits. You will hear the following when you have 10 seconds remaining. Please be courteous of your opponents. We ask the audience to be respectful of all the candidates and of each other, and please hold all applause until the end of the event. Let's begin.
We will begin with the mayor's candidates' opening statements. You will each have 3 minutes. We will start with Mayor John Krenzel, followed by Tom Roselli.
Thank you. First, let me thank the Luso-American Political Action Committee for putting this forum together. This is one chance for all the candidates to come together and discuss matters concerning the South River. During my tenure as mayor, I and my fellow Republicans have worked to do the best for this town. For example, through careful financial strategy and careful planning, after Hurricane Sandy, we were able to restore electricity within 3 days. I've advocated for what necessities that South River must have, and I've been successful on several fronts. South River now has an emergency generator that will power the Department of Public Works and provide much needed water for the town while we are at a crisis, and hopefully we will not have another Sandy-like storm. A new fire station is being built. There is a redevelopment plan in the works that will broaden the tax base and improve the downtown area. And with careful planning, the electric rates were lowered for residents, businesses, and nonprofits. As mayor, I tell the people what they need to know, not what they want to hear. In 2012, the Democrats promised to lower electric rates by 15% and to have a 5% decrease in the taxes. They were in control in 2013 and 2014, and they could not keep their promise. Nor could they find the $7 million that they said that the Republicans were hiding. It was fantasy. They couldn't do it. I don't do that. I tell you what I'm going to do. On January 1st of 2015, I told the people, as soon as we are financially sound, we would be able to lower the electric rates, stop moving money from the electric utility over to the current fund. And in September, we did just that. I've shown that I can reach out across the aisle and work with those that want to work with me. I listen to all sides and take their opinions into account, and will continue to do so. In my second term, I will continue to strive to provide South River with the services that the people require, and I will use their money wisely. Together with John Zapata and Rupesh Patel, we will continue to give South River the government that you deserve.
Tom Roselli.
Good evening. First, allow me to thank the LPAC for having this forum. This is a great way to inform residents of this town of the issues that are facing South River and to help them make educated decisions with their vote. of you who do not know me, my name is Tom Roselli. I am a lifelong resident of this town. I'm married, I have 2 wonderful children, one of which was recently married and also decided to live in South River. Why is that? Because South River is a great town. There is always room for improvement, and I believe I can make South River better. Tonight, you are going to hear differing views on how this town should be run, how important issues should be confronted, and how the mayor and council should ultimately run the town. But what is important for you this evening is not only to listen to what is said, it is also important that you listen to what is not said. I am sure that all of us have the best for South River in our hearts. I am also sure that all of us learn from mistakes of both parties from the past. However, if you hear any criticism tonight of past actions, I hope you also hear how those actions will be rectified and a plan for the future. This election is about leadership and taking South River into the future. You will hear much about what has taken place in the past, but listen to what we're striving for in the future and how that will be accomplished. I am asking for your support, along with my running mates, Sean Houseman and Ryan Jones, this November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now hear the council candidates' opening statements. Each candidate will have 2 minutes. The order will be beginning with Councilman Sean Hauserman, John Zapata, Ryan Jones, and Rupesh Patel. Councilman Sean Hauserman.
Once again, I want to extend my thanks to the Luso-American Political Action Committee for offering us this opportunity. The town used to run a debate many years ago, and that fell apart. And it's great to see that the residents in town, through this action committee, are given the opportunity for us to at least explain our side of what we believe should be done for South River. I'm a lifelong resident of South River. My great-grandfather was mayor back in 1915. My grandfather was postmaster. When it came time to buy a home, I told Mary Lou, the only place I want to look is in South River, because for me, I live here. I probably plan to die here, retire here. I love this town, and for the last 8 years, I've seen decisions that were made over and over again that I think are the wrong decisions. I had the great opportunity to serve back in the 90s, and I thought the way we did things back then were fantastic. And I would hope that we could do the same sort of things where the council was actually the governing body, not a rubber stamp for the professionals in town, as they like to say. I think we can change that, and I think we can make better decisions. Because over the last 8 years of Republican mayors, I don't think we've made the right decisions. You're going to hear a lot of these things this evening, and Mayor Krenzel began today with, oh, what the Democrats did. Well, you know what? For 7 of the last 8 years, the people on the council have had a majority Republican vote, even though some of them may have been registered Democrats. So for 7 of the last 8 years, Mayor Krenzel has had the people that he could get to do what he wanted to do. He spoke to you tonight of accomplishments. The fire station. Fire station is barely even started and is way over budget. The generator was not needed, and if you look at some of the other programs that he's done or cut, I don't believe that's the way to do it, and that's why I'm trying to run again. Thank you.
Thank you. John Zapata.
All right, I hate podiums. Hopefully everyone can see me. I want to thank the LAPAC and the Ria Mar for hosting this event. For those of you that haven't had the opportunity to meet My name is John Zapata, and I'm running for Borough Council. My wife and I have 2 children, and we have the same issues that most families in South River have. We worry about our bills, and we worry about our children's future. I've decided to run for council because I have a vision for South River. My vision is a community where you can work through the redevelopment of the downtown, a community where you can play through investment in our parks and our infrastructure, and a community where you can live, where it's safe to raise a family and it's affordable to raise a family. Now these goals are all intertwined. They're all dependent on each other. Can't succeed without all of them succeeding together. Now my vision is going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. Like all good things, it takes time. We've already taken steps to realizing these goals. Downtown, we have Old Street parking lot. We have the firehouse and the generator that's making our community safer. And we have the end of the summer fireworks that families love. We must plan for the future by not burying our heads in the sand and hoping that the next 100-year storm doesn't happen for another 98 years. Success of our community is not a partisan issue, it's a South River issue. A good idea is a good idea. I'm not looking for a pat on the back or an attaboy. I just want to make the best decision for our community and the families that live here. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to answering your questions tonight.
Thank you. Brian Jones.
Hi, my name is Ryan Jones. I'm running for council in town. Thank you to the LAPAC for having us today. I won't keep reiterating it, but it's great to see everyone out tonight coming in and becoming an informed citizen and informed voter. So thank you for being here tonight. I grew up in town. I have deep roots in town. My family has been involved in town for many years. I graduated South River High. My parents grew up here. My grandparents grew up here. My great-grandparents, my great-grandfather had a bakery on Whitehead Avenue, McGurra's Bakery. Some may be familiar with it. I'm an attorney and I work for the law firm of Gluck Walrath. I also have a design and marketing firm, the Carmichael. Why did I decide to get involved in South River politics? I'm really frustrated with the direction the town is headed. I grew up here and I remember just a strong, vibrant community, and I feel like some of that's slipping away. And so I'm trying to put my money where my mouth is and taking a stand and having my ideas heard. Why do I think I'm qualified? For 2 reasons. First, my experience as an attorney. I've worked with nonprofits and advocacy groups, and so I understand the value of the dollar. I've worked with them to make budgets work. I've also worked to develop partnerships, creative partnerships to try to strengthen communities through public-private relationships. I think that's something that really is important in the 21st century, and I think I can bring that experience to the council. Additionally, I think my skills as a marketing background can really have a value to the council and not the governing body. I'd like to bring those skills and experience to you. So thank you for having me, and hopefully I can answer some of your questions later on today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Rupesh Patel.
Good evening, everyone. And thank you, LAPAC, for this wonderful opportunity to meet with you and the community to show what we are going to do for the future of South River. My father has owned a successful business here for the past 2 decades. And I've been able to see how he and my mom were able to use, the work ethic and the focus and the financial controls that they used to ensure long-term success. And I use those same principles in my personal life, in my business, and I'm going to use those same principles to lead South River forward. I lived in East Brunswick for most of my life, and I was very familiar with South River because of the story. I grew up watching my parents, and I grew up getting to know many of you. Some of you call the store Minute Mart Food Store, others of you J Store. In fact, many of you probably remember me as Little J. I'm not little anymore. I'm Rupesh Patel, and I'm running to be your councilman for 2016, 17, and 18. The reason I got involved is because I feel we can market South River better. We don't really need to change South River too much, but we must market our strengths. And that is what's going to make it a really big impact for South River, marketing our strengths and trying to attract jobs into town. And thank you.
Thank you. We will now go into the questions. All questions were finalized this evening. We will begin with the mayor candidate's first question. Each candidate will have 2.5 minutes to answer. The order is beginning with Tom Roselli, followed by Mayor John Fetzel. Tom Roselli.
Who do you believe runs the borough? Is it the business administrator, the various department heads, or the mayor and council? Who do you believe currently dictates policies? Who do you believe should dictate these policies? For transparency, how often do you believe that meetings with the various professionals should be held?
Thank you. That's a big question there. I was on the council from 2012 to 2014. So I've had an insight as to how this town is run. During my 3 years there, under the Krenzel administration, I believe that it was a combination of department heads and professionals that were running the town. It appeared to me that they were telling the mayor and the council what should be done. They were not offering us various choices. They were coming to us with a choice and requesting that we do it. Personally, I do not think that this is the way government should be run. The professionals are there, the department heads are there, at the request of the mayor and the council. Their job is to perform, make budgets for their particular departments, and then to make recommendations to the mayor and the council. All their recommendations should include options. There's never one way to resolve the problem. The final decision should be by the mayor and the council. The mayor and the council is the elected group of people that are elected by the people to run the town. If they need more information, request it. Get all the facts. Understand what the problem is, and then act on it. It should be the mayor and the council that direct the professionals on how to ultimately resolve the problem. That's not what I've been seeing. Too many times during my tenure, when a problem arose, we were provided one option. When questioned, we were actually told that's the best option. It's the option that should be used. It's not their decision what the best option is. It's the decision of the mayor and the council. The more choices you have, the better. So I believe it's the mayor and the council that ultimately should be running the government.
Thank you. Mayor John Krenzel. Do you need the question repeated?
Who do you believe runs the borough? Is it the business administrator, the various department heads, or the mayor and council? Who do you believe currently dictates policies? What do you believe should dictate policies? I'm sorry, who do you believe should dictate policies? For transparency, how often do you believe that meetings with the various professionals should be held?
long, long ago, when I first ran in 1990, I ran on the platform that this town should have a business administrator. Hard to imagine in this day and age that in 1990, this town did not have a business administrator. Within a year or two, we got our first business administrator. The state also required a chief financial officer be brought in, keep an eye on the money. We got a chief financial officer, and Annette Seaman was our very first one. We did this so that the town could be run professionally, that there would be somebody there to be able to take care of matters, the day-to-day matters. Well, life would never be the same in South River. Prior to the business administrator, the governing body ran the town. I mean, literally ran the town. There was somebody in charge of the Department of Public Works. There was a question of the Department of Public Works, you called the councilman. You said, hey, I have a question. What do we do about this? I mean, literally, the governing body took care of the day-to-day operations. That all changed. The business administrator was now the head of the day-to-day operations of the government. And should be. But what should we do then? We, the mayor and council. It is up to us to set the policy. This is what we are doing. We are to set the policy, the broad strokes. We are to say, we want to move the town in this direction. We want to move the town in that direction. We want to be able to say, this is where we want to go, and we use our professionals to get us there. How often should we meet with the department heads? Whenever we need to meet with the department heads. The business administrator meets with them every 2 weeks, and it's easy enough for anybody to get on the phone and call them. This is how our government is run, and it is run efficiently.
Thank you. We will now begin the council candidates' common question. We ask that each council candidate answer the first question. You've chosen to run for office. What is it that made you run, and what is the one most important change that you hope to institute? We will begin with Councilman Sean Hauserman, followed by John Zapata, Brian Jones, and Rupesh Patel.
I think I started answering that question in my opening statement. As Mayor Krenzel said, the council, the people you elected, used to run the town. And then somewhere along the line, especially over the last 8 years, the council basically became a rubber stamp for what the quote-unquote professionals wanted to do. So my big change would be to bring the council back to having the councilman responsible. You know, at the last meeting, one of the councilmen has been promoting how he was the one in charge of getting the parking lot done, as they said. He was the one that promoted the parking lot. Recent council meeting, one of the residents asked, by the way, how much did that cost? Nobody knew. Not the business administrator, not the councilman. Because we are so far away from the day-to-day, and we have let the professionals, as we say, run the town. And I can tell you right now, the professionals don't care like someone that lives here would care. Because they can go home after they make their decisions, go home to their town, where the electric is probably a lot cheaper, and the taxes are probably lower. There are so many situations that we've come upon in the last few meetings where professionals have had meetings. Professionals have admitted to violating town ordinances, and yet they still work. They aren't written up. They aren't disciplined. They're not fired. They just go on their merry way.
Thank
It's
you.
not the way to do it. Thank you.
John Zapata, do you need the question repeated?
No. As I was saying in my opening statement, the reason why I'm running for borough council is because I have a vision of a community where you can work, play, and live. Now, as far as one of the major goals that I have if I am elected to the council is addressing the electric utility. Now let me say this. The problem is not the actual people that work at the electric utility. The problem is the surplus being used. What my plan is and what I hope to accomplish is an ordinance that would cap the amount that electric rate can be increased in any given year. That would help prevent any future large increases. And then also, while this is all progressive, because obviously it's going to take time, create a situation where we can have the borough residents or residents that have lived here for 2 or 3 years and have shown a usage, and then we can have them have equal installment payments over the course of a year. There's nothing more difficult than a family coming out of the summer, getting ready for the holidays, getting caught up on their electric bill. If they have their electric utility bill paid out equally over the course of a year, like is done at PSE&G and the other utilities, they are able to budget themselves a lot easier. Thank you.
Thank you. Ryan Jones, do you need the question repeated?
Could you do that for me? Thank you.
You've chosen to run for office. What is it that made you run, and what is the one most important change that you hope to institute?
I care deeply about the fabric of this town, and I'm incredibly worried that we're headed in the wrong direction. We've been talking briefly about the electric rates, and that's one of the major things that I decided to step in and say, you know what, I have to do something here, because the individuals that I'm running with are the only two that voted against the electric increase in 2014. They joined the majority this year to lower rates. Finally, after however many years, we've been trying to articulate that we need to lower rates, and people have stood in our way. And so I think that the utmost important issue this year is lowering electric rates. It's a detriment to businesses. It discourages new businesses from coming into town. It discourages residents from considering South River. It's making individuals consider leaving South River, and that's unhealthy for the fabric that I once knew. And I want to return that. I think ultimately reducing our need on the surplus, that $3.5 million that we use of the electric utility every year to pay for our budgetary needs to come down. And somebody needs to step up with leadership and responsibility and hold them accountable. So that's why I'm involved. Thank you.
Thank you. And Rupesh Patel. Do you need the question repeated?
Sure.
You've chosen to run for office. What is it that made you run, and what is the one most important change that you hope to institute?
So you're interested in knowing, as Rui mentions, the sword you want to follow, the one thing that you're going to commit to. And for me, the reason I got involved is because, as you know, my father has a store here, and I realized that many of the jobs are going outside of the community, and that's not really helping the small businesses here. I feel if we market the town better and attract more jobs into town, well-paying jobs, it'll help the community, it'll help the small businesses, and it'll help the town. So that's my goal, to market the town better so we can attract more jobs. Thank you.
Thank you. For the next 6 questions, we ask that each council candidate answer any 3 questions. This will follow the same format as last year's forum. We'll have 90 seconds for each question.
There's an unfortunate perception that our public school system is not keeping to par with other municipalities. How can the mayor council work together with the school board to get our youth involved, to keep them out of trouble, and to instill in them a love and pride in their hometown, and to change this negative perception? side with the question.
Well, first off, I already think there's a love and pride. I mean, if anyone was around the school today, you would have seen the high school students coming out in all different colors. So there's obviously already a pride in the community. If there's a perception that the school is not doing as well, it may be because we're not getting all the accomplishments out there, because our schools are doing well. The issue here is probably parent involvement. It's difficult since we're a blue-collar town to have parents that are working during the day and sometimes 2 jobs to put a roof over their kids' heads to get over to the school. But as a community, we can support our children and make sure that they have the best that they can to succeed. What I plan to do is, if I'm elected to the council, is be the liaison for the Board of Education. I think there's got to be a communication between the 2 governing bodies in town. I know in the past, Mr. Hauserman was the liaison for the Board of Education and didn't attend one single meeting. So that type of neglect is not what we need. What we need is a community that works together. Thank you.
Back in the 90s, I was also the liaison to the Board of Education, so I did have those meetings then. I didn't go to their meetings. What we did was we set up a liaison committee where I, as the council representative, would speak directly with whatever members of the Board of Education wanted to meet. Now, I've seen over the last few years that, yes, some people go to the council meeting as the Board of Ed meeting as liaison, and they sit there and they listen to the meeting and then they leave. When we set up the liaison committee that I was on with the Board of Education, we met with 3 of the members. We met with the administrator, Mr. Pfister, and we actually accomplished that. We found out that the Board of Ed was actually, based on their scheduling, paying their bills for electric a month overdue. We worked to change their reading date. We worked to change their process, and we saved the Board of Education money because they were paying interest to the town. They didn't realize that at the time. They came to us and said, why are we paying so much for electric at Denny Stadium in winter? We researched that together. We found out they had electric heaters going on under the stadium where the guys, I guess, were working. They had an office under there. We saved them thousands of dollars. I worked with the council at the time, and we got Morningside paved on the side of the high school. And I can remember Mrs. Urbanik recommended that we do Montgomery, and I brought that to the council. And again, nothing's been accomplished on that since they took that project over, but we brought it to the council, and the bond is done. We're getting grants for it. We accomplished more by meeting together than by just going to the meeting. And I really, wish you would have talked to me about that. Thank you.
What are your thoughts on outsourcing services, and which services do you believe are better served in-house or outsourced?
Sound like a broken record with bad decisions made. We used to have a shared service agreement with Sayreville. We outsourced the weekend emergency work, sewer and water, and if we needed sewer jetting or anything like that, we used their sewer jet and their employees, their monthly contract, and any of that stuff was done by Sayreville. We paid them a couple of $1,000 a month to do that. It was decided, again, by the professionals at the time that we should do it on our own. So we had spent $285,000 for our second sewer jet machine. When we got it, they realized, ooh, you know what? We also get video work done. Sometimes you got to send a camera down through the sewer to find out what's going on. We better get one of those too. $60,000, I believe, for the video camera. $340,000 to get the machine, and now we had to use our own labor. There was no savings in that. And if that's, you think, bad enough, 2 meetings ago I questioned the bill at the council because we paid $1,000 for someone to come in and video one of our sewers. I said, why are we paying $1,000 if we spent all this money to do this on our own? Mr. Carr told us our video cameras broke. These are the decisions that we're speaking about here that have been the wrong decisions over and over again. Thank you.
All right. Honestly, my goal is to, like I said, increase the jobs. If there's a service that we, and that isn't helping the town, that isn't very effective, I will consider outsourcing. But if it's providing jobs in town, I'll have to, balance the benefits and the, I guess, the advantages and disadvantages. So that's how I'll decide. Thank you.
How often do you think borough ordinances should be reviewed, such as the recent increase in the building department fees and the lengthy process followed by the zoning board?
I think we need to change the tone and tenor of the governing body in town. It seems as though the governing body's taking a standpoint that seems to be somewhat resident unfriendly. We continually revisit permits and fees in town and raise them on residents without much rhyme or reason other than, hey, it hasn't been done in a while. Hey, we're trying to make each department self-sufficient rather than running departments as services that benefit residents. If I were elected to council, I review Code Section 155, the fee section, which has about 400 some fees, and question every single one of them. There are absolutely needs for permits and other fees to ensure safety, inspection, other various interests that protect the residents of this town. But when there's no explanation given for a lot of these fees, a lot of these permits, I hear all over town people going, why do I have to pay another permit? It's a great question because there's no explanation in the ordinance. So perhaps add a why section explaining what it is that this ordinance is designed to do. Without that, no one has any idea. So what I would do is hold councilmen accountable for all of these ordinances going on so that the residents can vote yes or no whether they approve of them. When it's protecting safety, of course, everyone is going to get behind that. But when it's just raising a fee, just for the sake of raising a fee, there's a lot of questioning that needs to go into that. So, that's all in there. Thank you.
The various boards, such as zoning, planning, EDC, and cultural arts, are instrumental in making the borough an appealing place to live. How would you effectively organize, supervise, review their policies and procedures, and communicate with these boards to give them the power and means to institute real change?
There have been a lot of first-time events this year that have been wonderful for the community. I think that when it comes to commissions and committees, I think that they need to also be given specific challenges that they need to be measured against so that they can incorporate goal measurement at the end of the year, each year. I do think that when it comes to EDC, the restaurant week initiative this year, and surveying businesses are great starts. I do think that EDC should also be tasked with trying to attract new businesses by, let's say, putting advertisements in business magazines in various different industries. I think that they should look at trying to highlight this town, market this town, as Rupesh has said. I have the experience to provide that type of thing. I understand those sophisticated type of individual acts. So I hope to try to influence some of the commissions and committees in this regard and try to steer them in a way that is both utilizing what they already have and trying to push them further. And they all are doing really wonderful things for this town. I can't say enough about the great events that have been run this year. Super job, guys. Thank you.
I agree with Ryan. I believe we should hold some committees that are more, I guess, when it comes to marketing, they're more involved with the marketing of the town. We should hold them more accountable. We should expect them. And it's about focus, it's about this town. I think the EDC, they did a great job for Restaurant Week. They did a great job marketing the small businesses. I think we can actually do something a little different. How about we change the EDC and have them market the town, the restaurants, the small businesses, the school system, just be a whole marketing team. I think that's what we should do. We should give them more responsibilities, and just as he said, hold them to more goals and work with them to see, come up with goals at the beginning of the year, and at the end of the year measure, the effectiveness, and that's what I really want to say. Thank you.
What does a revitalization of Main Street mean to you? This question comes up each year, and every candidate says this is a top priority. Do you believe that there has been any forward progress? What has it been? What is your suggestion to start or to continue making forward progress?
The success of our Main Street is important to every candidate. You're not going to hear anyone say that they want to see Main Street fail. It is the gateway to South River. Everyone passes through it, whether they're intending to stop or not. What we got to do is get people to actually stop. Now, what can we do to do that? Well, one thing that's already been done is by creating parking, and that's the Over Street parking. Attracting businesses, Dunkin' Donuts, the bagel place. These are all successes. We can all bring these new businesses to town, and as they succeed, and as our community succeeds, and as we get families interested in coming into town and staying in town and raising their families, they'll want to stay here and they'll patronize our businesses. We have to, again, put our best foot forward and improving our downtown, taking the steps to attract business, promote business. That's the key to success. We already have a lot of great, successful businesses here in town. All we have to do is continue to expand on them and make sure that they succeed.
Businesses know best how to run business, plain and simple. Government should get out of the way so that they can prosper and do what they do best. Everyone here can think of in their head a business that's been shut doors over the last 5 years. To serve our businesses, we need to eliminate policy that inhibits business success and discourages new businesses from coming into town. We need to reduce electric rates. They're entirely too high. Businesses claim to have closed shop solely because of the electric rate. That is an unhealthy, cyclical type of behavior that can occur when when that type of attitude is prevalent among businesses. We need to get rid of fees and permits that make opening new businesses in town difficult. If you have a high hurdle and next door it's much easier to start a business, why would they bother going through the permit and fee process in town? I'd also like to see a more pedestrian-friendly South River. What does that mean? Let's explore beautification projects. Let's explore lit and safe streets so that we can walk all day and night. Let's identify different areas of downtown and create a sense of place for those specific areas. Thank you for listening. Okay.
Understanding that this is not something that can be rectified overnight, and without assigning blame to the opposing positions, please, because both parties have been in control at some time during the escalation of the burden to the residents and businesses of the borough, what is the first step you would take to reduce the electric rates? Would you be willing to sign and back an ordinance to begin a reduction in rates and to cap the electric rates?
Capping the electric rate is important. I know my father has a business here, a small business. I know the burden that the electric puts on him. In fact, right now, if you go back 10 years or so ago, you get all the refrigerators, everything running. Now he's very, very effective he's controlled his costs by shutting down many of those refrigerators. He keeps one open all night because it has milk inside. Everything else is closed every night at actually in the afternoon, 1 p.m. we close them. So I know the importance, or I know the importance of controlling the electric rates. And I understand it cannot be done overnight. I'm not promising anything to do it overnight. But what I will do is work with the council and the mayor to come up with a plan that long-term we can use, we can rely less on the electric utility revenue to fund the general expense for the town. Because that's why it's high, because we're relying on it too much. So we have to lean off the reliance, and that's why we're going to set up a plan to do that. Thank you.
The question again, please.
Understanding that this is not something that can be rectified overnight and without assigning blame to the opposition, because both parties have been in control at some time during the escalation of the burden to the residents and businesses of the borough. What is the first step you would take to reduce the electric rates? Would you be willing to sign and back an ordinance to begin a reduction in rates and to cap the electric rates?
Again, the only way that you can lower the electric rates in town, because they're used to subsidize the spending in town, is to look at ways to lower the spending. And this is something that nobody wants to talk about. If you look at the council meetings, I'm the only one that even actually picks up the pile of bills that we're paying and looks at them. I'm the only one pretty much, from time to time people question it, but I'm the only one that questions them. But the way we run the town now, it doesn't matter if I want to pay that bill or not, or if I want to approve it, because it's already been approved, the materials have already been received, and we already owe that vendor or contractor the money. So all I can do is question it at that point. We need to get back to what we used to do at council meetings, approving the bills first. It's how Tom said we used to do it. And again, it takes the power away from the quote-unquote professionals who seem to approve everything that comes across their desk and gives it back to the representative that you elected. If the professionals are doing all decision-making, as is happening in spending right now, then I would say, why don't we elect the professionals instead of all of us here? Because the way it's run now, we really don't have the controls we need to lower the elected rates. Thank you.
We will now have the mayor candidate's second question. We will begin with Mayor John Penzel, followed by Tom Roselli. Each have 2.5 minutes to answer.
You have heard the answers from your party and from the opposition. The governing structure for the borough is that you only vote to break a tie. How do you plan on bringing both parties to the table for the general good of South River? What is your plan to be a proactive, strong, and influential mayor?
In South River, we have what is called the Weak Mayor Strong Council form of government. Technically, I break ties, I set the agenda, and I get to marry people. But I'm the mayor, and it's to the mayor that everyone looks to, regardless of what is going on. Doesn't matter. You're the mayor. Everybody's going to come to the mayor. The mayor must be a leader. He must work to build consensus. He has 6 voices up there, and he has to take them all into account. Has to listen to the professionals and try to decide the course of action. Meeting with the various council members, meeting with professionals and department heads. That is what I have done, and we have slowly moved South River forward. Bit by bit, working hard, we've been able to do the various things that South River needs to have done in the wake of Hurricane Sandy, getting the generators that were needed. You know, we don't need a generator. Yes, we do need a generator. We talked about this in 2012. Couldn't get the votes for it. Well, along comes Sandy. The post-Sandy report says, get a generator. Yeah, we got away with it, we skated. Maybe next time we won't skate. And you don't need a Sandy. You have a blizzard. We lose our power, we lose our water. We don't need gotcha questions. People coming up there and saying, well, how much does this cost? And didn't you vote on this 3 weeks ago, 4 months ago, a year ago? Those are gotcha questions. You know, people don't have that at their fingertips. You find the answer and you give it to them. That's servicing the people. You go out there and you find the answer. You've heard, for example, about the fees. The fees, that's what we hear about today. Okay, fine. What specific fees would you take care of? What would you do? Where are the specifics? That's what I hear. Specifics.
Tom Roselli.
May I ask you to repeat the question, please?
You have heard the questions and answers from your party and from the opposition. The governing structure for the borough is that you only vote to break a tie. How do you plan on bringing both parties to the table for the general good of South River? What is your plan to be a proactive, strong, and influential mayor?
The plans to be a proactive and strong mayor are quite simple. They are to bring the council together to hear different opinions from each councilman on every single issue. However, it's not just the council's opinions we should be concerned with. We should also be concerned with, first, residents' opinions. Even though we are elected to make the decisions, we must not forget that we are here to do the will of the people. How would I accomplish that? I would bring forth the idea of having a mayor's ad hoc committee, a bipartisan committee, members of both parties, members of businesses, residents of the town. I would ask that they meet at least once every 2 months, more if they would like, to hear what their concerns are. Not only to hear what their concerns are, to hear what they feel would help the town with resolutions. I would then take that information back to the council, back to the professionals, and impress upon the council members and the professionals what it is that the people want to see done. With the added voice of the people, I believe that I can have this council come together to make decisions collectively, to end the bickering that often happens. The mayor can only vote in the event of a tie. It is a strong council, weak mayor government. But the mayor is the face of the town. What the mayor says and how he presents the town goes a long way in attracting businesses, making residents happy, and making the town work. Bringing more residents and businesses into the fold so we hear their concerns more often would go a long way in bringing the council together to understand the issues and to come up with resolutions for those issues. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we will begin the candidates' closing statements. You will each have 2 minutes. The order will be Lubish Patel, Ryan Jones, John Zapata, and Councilman Sean Hauserman.
Thank you, LAPAC, for this wonderful event. Thank you to the community for coming out and being involved to see how we are going to lead South River forward. As I mentioned before and throughout the forum, I will market South River better to attract more jobs in the town. And I believe attracting more jobs in the town because, like I said, many people are going to leaving the town and their business, let's say for lunch or for dinner every day, it's going outside of town. They're here in the morning, they're here in the evening, they're here on the weekends. So we need more jobs in town. It'll help the community, it'll help the small businesses, it'll help South River. I believe that is a slam dunk idea. The opportunities that we have in the town actually influence the decision that college graduates, some of your kids, are going to make to decide whether they're going to move into town after they graduate, or even if they're college dropouts. Doesn't matter. That's what they look for, the opportunities. So that's what I want to do. Thank you.
Thanks for this wonderful event tonight. Growing up in South River, I remember a quaint, friendly, close-knit community with a great personality and unique downtown. I feel like some of that is starting to slip away. It's very concerning to me. I really believe, truly, that it's a lot to do with policies that have been implemented on the governing body. You heard today a lot about, well, this is not going to happen overnight. We have ideas, but it's going to take a while. Over the last 7 of the last 8 years, my opponents have had a majority. If not now, when is it going to happen? I got involved because I have ideas. I want to get them done, working however I can to get them done. Good ideas, as my opponents would probably agree, come from both sides of the aisle. Let's get them done and stop playing politics. Our electric rates are too high. They need to come down. Solar needs to be explored so that individuals in town can have affordable and accessible opportunities to generate inexpensive and very green type of energy for their homes in a manner that is beneficial to the electric utility in town. We also need to change the tone and tenor of the governing body. It seems as though the South River spirit is starting to slip away because the governing body doesn't incorporate that spirit into all of their policies that they implement. And so when it comes to, if you have a problem with your neighbor, you extend a hand and say, hey, let's work this out. Well, the same thing should happen in the governing body. It should be interaction, it should be reaching out, it should be letting them give notice, and it should be working with them to get it done, rather than in a hostile manner. Thank you for having me again today, and I appreciate you coming here today.
I too would like to thank LAPAC and Ria Mar for hosting this event. As I stated earlier this evening in my opening statement, I have a vision for South River, and yes, it's going to take time. In preparing for tonight, I was reminded of something that my grandmother, had told me when I was graduating high school. She told me, go slower and you'll get there faster. Now, my grandmother wasn't from South River. She wasn't born in the United States. She was an immigrant like my parents. She had limited education. She had a wisdom that only comes with a lifetime of working hard. South River is a community of immigrants. Some have been here longer than others. My opponents have criticized my running mate Rupesh and I for not being from South River. I'm not sure what that means. As if because we're not from South River, or that we somehow are not qualified to run for office. I'm proud of where I'm from. I'm proud of where my parents are from. And I'll never apologize for it. I can tell you one thing. There's two people that I know that are from South River. And they're John and Nicholas, my sons. And if I don't have their best interests at hand, I don't know who would. It's the diversity of our people and our community and our ideas that what makes South River strong. As a community, we will plan for the future, proceed with a purpose, and with Mayor Krenzel, Rupesh Patel, and myself, we will get there faster. Thank you.
The difference that you see between all of us up here, and I think these were all great people, both sides. But the difference that you see here is the ideas and the ability to execute. When Tom and I were on the council, we put budgets together. The budget we put together held $600,000 in reserve in case the electric utility didn't have enough money, so that we could have avoided the huge rate increase that was done last year. But our opponents decided they had to buy the generator that year. So they took the money for the generator and they raised your rates. Tom and I knew that the EDC was important and should have money to market the town. We gave them $10,000 in our budget. Our opponents took that money away. Tom and I have put forth ideas that are the key to helping South River do better. Tom came up with an idea after we couldn't sell Lincoln School that we needed to change the zoning in that area. He pushed that forward, and he pushed forward a rehabilitation zone for the Reed Street area. We got that accomplished, but what happened since then? Nothing. So there are no tax abatements set. You can't improve your property and save money on your taxes because nobody followed through on it. We're changing the zoning in the district on Main Street because the master plan said it's a rehabilitation district. It's been that way for years. What have our opponents done about doing something so that if you fix up your business in town, you get a tax abatement? Nothing. These are the decisions that need to be made. These are the decisions that over the last 8 years haven't been made. We simply cannot afford nothing happening over the next few years. And again, when they say they want to hear from you, they want you to come to council meetings, they want you to get your ideas, watch a council meeting and watch what happens. The mayor already said, don't bring gotcha questions, we don't want to hear it. They will yell at you, they will mock you, and they will tell you basically to sit down if they don't like what you say. We're supposed to be public servants, not the other way around. Thank you.
We will now have the mayor candidates closing statements. Each candidate will have 3 minutes. order will be Tom Roselli, followed by Mayor John Krenzel.
Once again, I would like to thank the LAPAC for this forum. Once again, it shows what a great asset they are to this town. You've heard the views of all candidates. Hopefully that will help you make your decision come election day. I've decided to run to make this town more affordable. How could that be done? Well, I believe this town should use a common sense approach to making decisions. What does this mean? This means that you should formulate budgets at the beginning of projects. You should adhere to those budgets. There should not be any open checkbooks. There are times when budgets cannot be met. That's understandable. There's always overruns. It's understandable. But projects without budgets are reckless. You as residents, when you decide to buy a house, buy a car, do any large expenditures, you set a budget and you stay with it as close as you could. That's not what's been happening on the council. We also have to spend within our means. Since the recession, South River is one of the few towns in Middlesex County that has increased spending almost every single year. Yes, there are fixed costs that we could do nothing about. Health insurance costs, contractual salaries, etc. But there are ways money can be saved. Simply make the budgets, stay with it. Ask yourself this question every time you make a decision. And this is a question my administration would be forced to ask on every vote we take. How does this decision affect the residents of the town? And is there a better way? If it is not a positive effect, or if there is a better way, it will not happen. Politicians should never make promises. I will not make any promises to you. But I will tell you that I will do my best to hear the concerns of every resident, every business, every visitor to this town. I will do my best to take all those differing opinions, make sure the council hears every single one, and discover every possible way to resolve a problem. So please, I'm asking for your support, along with my running mates, Sean Hausman and Ryan Jones, on November 3rd.
I again thank LAPAC for volunteers putting together this forum. You know how hard it is to put something together. When you're trying to do something, you have to plow ahead, handle the difficulties head on, and disregard the naysayers. I think as mayor, I've tried to do that. Fought for the firehouse to replace the century-old building that is literally falling down. I fought to get us lower electric rates. Not just talked about it, actually did it. We're going to bring in an expert. He's going to come in, he's going to tell us how best we can do this. And I fought for the future, the redevelopment plan. One of the Democratic candidates had this to say about what we're doing. They want to tear everything down, negating the history that makes this town so special. It's no surprise, though. Their candidates are mostly from out of town and have no attachment to the traditions we all love. Really? Why can't we do something different? Why be afraid of change? Why can't we do something new in a traditional way? Take a look at the area around Reed Street and Water Street. Is this good? No. No, it isn't. It takes time to do big projects, to do them right, but they're going to be done right. The first steps are taken. We're going to have a plan, and once that plan is brought forth, then the residences, the businesses, the nonprofits, the organizations, all are going to have a say. Wow, is it going to be noisy? But slowly, we're going to do it. And what's wrong with out-of-towners? South River is a big tent. We are a town of immigrants. The immigrants who come here, who do construction work, lawyers, bankers. Some own restaurants. We're all doing something here because we have come from someplace else. Now, most of the work of government is mundane. If you read today's Home News front page article, the city of South Amboy didn't update their employee manual and may cost the residents hundreds of thousands of dollars. South River did that. We've saved our people money. It's not sexy, but it got done. And you know what? People don't even know about it, and they don't care. But it got done. The people are being protected. But there's more to do this, than mundane work. You have to have a vision. I believe that I've shown that vision. It includes all the people, and I invite you to join John Zapata, Rupesh Patel, and myself to make it better South River. Thank you, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now a few closing words from our LAPAC president, Rui Baptista.
I want to thank all of you for coming out and actually listening and developing some ideas and making yourself a knowledgeable voter. I suggest strongly that you tell all of your friends and family members to look at TV 35. We hope to have this up and running so people can make intelligent decisions about their candidates. I heard some really promising things tonight. I'm encouraged by both sides at some point actually agreeing that there are good men on the other side. I think we should hear a little bit more about that. I'm often disappointed at the lack of decorum and the personal attacks that I see at the dais at council meetings. Let's remember one thing. While we all choose to complain, these 6 men and their families have chosen to try to do something about it. For that alone, we should respect them. Always. You can disagree, but that doesn't mean you should disrespect. I think that my parting words to both sides of this, whomever comes out victorious, understand that there were voters on the other side who didn't agree with you. And those are the ones that you need to reach out to reach consensus. I think that would be important. I find it interesting that 2 of our newer candidates spoke often tonight about marketing. I don't know. I'm thinking the 2 of you guys should get together and create a marketing plan. That's not Republican. It's not Democrat. It's just a South River marketing plan. Why does one side have to own it? Why can't South River own it, gentlemen? That's our focus as a community. You can talk about all the problems, but we have all chosen to live here. We have all made this our home. Let's respect each other's homes, and let's try to mend fences with our neighbors. Only then will we move forward. Unless any of you have political aspirations beyond South River, I don't